Hi, Leah. Hi, Eileen. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see you. So, how has it been going this week? I want to know. I want to hear some stories. Anything that you've noticed about your children? Are you able to see when they're doing attention getting or when you're in a power struggle? Have you tried any strategies? Or did you forget to try your strategy and afterwards say, oh, I know what I should have done? Any sharing that you can tell me?
Hi, Norma, can you hear me?
Yeah, I
I
can.
used your point strategy today
Oh, tell
in the
us about that.
classroom. It
Tell
went
us
really
about that.
well.
Mm-hmm.
The kids were really excited to be on teams and they were cheering each other on. Um, and when the one team was announced the winner, everyone else cheered for them. So that was great. It was good to
Isn't that
see
wonderful? Oh,
community. Yes.
wonderful. So that is a great segue. So just to share with the parents, normally I do a separate course of this that's teaching with the brain in mind, and then I do the parenting with the brain in mind. But this year, because of budget problems, we're putting the two of you in the same group. So I'm making extra little visits over to Breakthrough, and I met with the teachers yesterday and gave them a special point system to build on the positive reinforcement ideas that we, you know, have been covering the past couple of weeks and how they can use it with their classrooms. Okay. Now, I want to go back because I gave you guys in your last week, um, in your posters packet that I sent you emailed. I want you to just go over with you something that I covered that is kind of the same thing that I did with the teachers yesterday that I've done for you in those posters. So let me just show you the distinction and I will, let's see, is this going to be, yeah. So last week, I sent you this. Does anybody recognize this? They came in your posters that I emailed you that you can print out. So last week we did our encouragement chapter. We built on the positive reinforcement ideas of the 2 weeks before. And so this is a chart, a chores chart, okay? And I sent this to you, and it can just be a model for you, an idea of how you could set up and create some structure for your children around what is it you want them to get done in the morning, right? Before school. And when they come home from school and in the evening, so afternoon and evening, these are just some ideas. And you can do this on any typing paper you have. You can do it by hand for yourself, or you can print this out and you can write over these words jobs you want your children to do. Okay. But here you can see that it says in the morning, the daily routine. And you see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? So when they complete something, they just check it off. And then they're ready for, once they've done these things, they can bring you the paper or you can keep it on the refrigerator or wherever you decide. And you can do inspection. You can go and check quickly. Have they really done all of these? Here it says, dirty clothes in the laundry. Okay. Make your bed. Take your vitamins. I can't read the yellow one. Maybe you can see it better than I. Breakfast, cleanup. Okay. So maybe whatever you want them to do to clean up after their breakfast. Brush their teeth, check their backpack for their lunch, make sure their lunch is in the backpack. So, and however it works, in your house, you may have other things you want on that list in the morning, but just some ideas, right? And then you've got afternoon and evening. And sorry, let's go back. Practice your instrument if they're a person who has to do that. And we just welcomed Michael, so that should make him happy if he's our music teacher, right? Put away the laundry, okay? Maybe it was time that they got their laundry and they had to put it away, right? You brought it up or whatever, or they had to go down and get it from the where the dryer is. Dinner cleanup, tidy the house, shower before bed, brush teeth before they go to bed. So this is the idea that, you know, when we started, Joanna, if you remember, you were saying, I think it was Joanna, it may have been somebody else who was saying, you know, I asked my child to get their jobs done over the weekend, and on Sunday night, the jobs weren't all done.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a way to structure what they do,
Yeah.
okay?
Okay.
I used to say, when people say, you know, I want my child on Saturday morning to clean their room, okay? We used to, for our kids, we would have a list like this, and we would say, you know, what does it mean to clean your room? Because what I think of as cleaning the room looks different than what a, you know, a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old would think of as cleaning their room. So we would say, like, everything off your floor and back in their final resting space was our favorite phrase for it, right? So the laundry should go in the laundry basket. Nothing should be, you know, if there's toys, there should be a place that they keep them. And they pick all those up, right? Maybe they have to take their sheets off and put clean sheets on Saturday morning, whatever it is, right? Your desk has to be clear. Your dresser has to be clear. So we listed those things, and that's what it meant to clean your room. And then when they had checked off each spot, they'd say, I'm ready for inspection. In other words, they weren't coming to us for each little thing. They knew and had been trained in what it meant to clean their room. And then we would come in and we would make a big deal about it. Oh, look at how you cleaned your floor. Great. Oh, look at how you changed your sheets. Oh, look at how you blah, blah, blah. And we made a big deal about and gave them the positive reinforcement. But in the meantime, they were building good habits. They were being empowered. They were growing in skill. They were building competence and building that cortex, right? And then the same thing here in the evening. What happens with homework? And maybe there's a shared story time or something. But what happens when they get these checked off for a whole week? Let's go to the next. Here's some ideas for reward coupons. Just some to help you with things that don't cost money, but that kids love, right? A sleepover party for 2 to 3 friends, or maybe you'd say 1 friend, right? And maybe that would happen after they had done their chores for 3 weeks or something, or 2 weeks or whatever. And maybe your child is too young for that to even be one that you used, right? These are just ideas for you, right? And you may think of others that you want to do, but there's the coupon they get, right? Staying up 30 minutes past their bedtime. When do they get to do that? Well, only on a Friday or a Saturday, maybe. Whatever works for you. Dinner of your choice. They get to say, oh, I'm giving you this, trading in this coupon because on Friday night, we're going to have whatever is their favorite dinner and you're going to make it for them, right? Movie night. They get to pick the flick. 1 hour of time alone with mom or dad, trading that in. Getting out of one chore. You trade in the coupon to get out of one of their chores. Building a blanket fort. making a batch of your favorite cookies together, right? A cup of hot cocoa, a game night, you choose the game, one extra bedtime story. Oh, I'm going to trade this in tonight, mom or dad, right? A pajama day, right? They get to wear their pajamas all day on a Saturday, wherever they go. They can go to the store with you or whatever. And at school, at Breakthrough, we often will have a special day where everybody gets to wear their pajamas to school. So that's just a fun activity that we do. But this is the idea. And none of these cost any money, you see? So we're not building materialism here, a materialistic value system. It's just fun stuff that they can trade them in for. And yesterday I brought the teachers big, extensive list of things that they can use in school that don't cost money, but can reward kids, and they can trade in for doing good things in school, okay? The other thing that was in your packet I'm showing you each of the posters I sent home with you that you can print out and you can put on your refrigerator with a magnet or wherever. These are ideas, and these are good. We use them at Breakthrough Magnet School for the teachers, and we use it also at home. They're in your character guide. If you look at the bottom here, it says page 15 in the Breakthrough Character Guide, okay? So you go to page 15 and you'll see, if you lose your poster, you can find it in here, okay? The ha-ha-so strategies are in the Character Guide. And what are they, okay? These are strategies that the teachers will teach your students, your children, their students, your children, as to how to handle it when someone's bothering them without acting like the person that's bothering them, okay? So if someone's not being nice to them or whatever, what are some strategies they can use? And so HAHASO, each one of these letters is a strategy that we teach, and the teachers will teach your children, and you can teach at home. So you can coach your child if they come home and say, you know, Billy was bothering me today. This is what he was doing. And you can say, well, let's see, did you use any of your strategies? So we're teaching children how to use strategies that are ways to handle the situation. Turn it into a joke, use humor. So, you know, somebody says, your clothes are funny, you should say. They can say back, yeah, I dress like a clown on the weekend. You should see me on Halloween. Ha ha ha. You just turn it into a joke. You don't get upset about it. You just laugh about it and give an answer that's funny. A is avoid situations where there's a threat. So, there are some kids who say this person's bothering me, but who's the first person they go to see when they get to school the next day? They go right towards that child that's bothering them. So avoiding people is another strategy. You don't need to go over where that child is. You can just try to skirt around them. H, the second H, is that you go and get help. Get help from a third person. Could be another child in the class, or could be that you go to the teacher or the paraprofessional, okay? The second A is to assert yourself. And we're going to learn about how to give an I message tonight in our course, okay? Tonight we're devoting our attention to communication strategies, okay? So we're going to learn what it is to give an I message, and our teachers will teach the students. Here's the different parts, the 3 parts of an I message. And you fill in the blank. When you grab my pencil off my desk without asking me, I feel really annoyed because that's my property. And I don't want you to take my things without asking. So when you blankety, blankety, blank, I feel, and you say a feeling you feel, because what's the reason that you feel that way? And that's what an I message is. When you have a problem, you use your words to talk to somebody, okay? This S is to use self-talk to keep your cool. So, you're thinking in your head, using your self-talk. We all talk to ourselves in our head, and we want to teach that term to the students. You've got self-talk, and you're thinking, I know I talked to my mom and dad about this, and I'm just going to count to 10 and walk away. I'm not going to lose my temper. And that's what they're thinking in words in their head. And then they do it. So they're using their self-talk, okay? And maybe they're combining this with something else. They're using their self-talk and going to the teacher, you see? Or combining using humor with own it. This last O is you just agree with the person about whatever they say. You say, sure, yeah, you own whatever they say, and maybe you turn it into a joke. So, sure, whatever you say. Oh, you think I look funny? Okay. Or maybe you think that I wear glasses and that's funny, or you think I get it. Okay, whatever you say, and you walk away. And you're not getting hooked is kind of what you're teaching them, that person is saying that just to get you mad, and you're not letting them win and get you hooked. So you want to start using your character guide, okay, guys, and go through this book and know that there's lots of strategies that we're teaching in the course that are in your character guide, okay? So that's the ha-ha-so strategies. Then there's the bad choices and mistakes chart. This is something you can use and keep on the refrigerator to remind you how to do it, okay? If your child you're wondering who took the cookies from the cookie jar, right? And you kind of know who it was, you're trying to get them to admit it, right? You go over to this chart, or you bring it down to the table with you, and you say, you know what? Human beings make bad choices at times. We all make mistakes, right? And teachers do, students do, parents do, and children do. So right there, you're kind of lowering the risk feeling in the conversation. You're saying, now, when that happens, when we make a bad choice, sometimes we get really scared. We think, uh-oh, if somebody knew I did this, I'd get in trouble. Or we think, if somebody knew I did this, they wouldn't like me. And then at that moment, we can go either way. If you go down, you say, it wasn't me. Or you say, it wasn't me, it was him. And you point to somebody else and try to blame somebody else. The dog did it, right? Or you try to talk about it in such a way that you make it smaller. You minimize it. You say, I didn't really hit him. My hand was just going through the air and his back got in the way. I didn't mean to hit him. So like that. So, or you out and out lie about it, right? That's all of those have in common no integrity. You're not telling the truth about what happened, okay? If you go up instead, you actually say, you know what? I made a mistake. I made a bad choice. I shouldn't have done that. I did take the cookies from the cookie jar, Mom or Dad, or like that. And I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have done that. And they may have a consequence for doing that, okay? Or you sit down and you talk it out, and you talk about what they can do to make up for it. But the point is, you want to point out there's a lot of adults I know that don't even know that this option exists. They live their whole lives down here when they do something to somebody else, right? So that's the lack of integrity, the I in brick, right? And then you can teach actually the parts of a generous apology. What does a generous apology look like? Is it just, I'm sorry, right? Where their body language and tone of voice are really saying something else. So here you see down here, number 5. These are all the component parts of a generous apology. Do they sound like they mean it? Or is it just Yeah, right. I'm sorry. Okay. You want to have the I'm sorry or apologize vocabulary. You want to say what you're sorry for. I'm sorry that I took the cookies out of the cookie jar. I really shouldn't have. And what it is you're sorry for. I know I should have asked for permission and when I could have it or like that. And then if you really want, as they get older, you can add these parts. I can imagine that you feel like you can't trust me anymore. How you imagine the other person feels knowing that what you did is what you did. In the future, I'll promise that I'll ask permission before I do something like that, before I take a cookie. Okay? So these are all the component parts. This is a good thing to hang in your classroom or hang in on your refrigerator so that you can pull it out and cover the points and start to practice what are the component parts. And your body language and tone of voice have to match your words. So, if your words are saying one thing, but you're really growling it out, that's not going to work. So you have this in the email I sent you last week. Miss Massaro said that she sent it home in your Sunday night message that you get. So all of these are accessible for you to print out, okay? So I just wanted to make sure we went over that, okay? And I would love it if Shanto and Khadijah and Erily would let us see you so that we know you're part of our class, okay?
I was driving. I just got in.
Okay,
So I
great.
didn't
It's
want to
kind of
seem
hard.
like I'm distracted. That's why I took
That-
my face off.
Thank you to help for helping us. It's very generous of you. We appreciate it.
Yes, and I'm driving too. This is Khadijah. That's
Hi,
why.
Khadijah. Okay,
Hi.
Hi, this is Chantal. I'm driving too. I just got my daughter. She has piano lessons. Wednesday nights are pretty crazy for me, so that's why my camera is always off. But I am listening, so I'm
okay,
in. Thank
okay.
you.
All right. So now I want us to get into any questions about the posters or what we just talked about. Anybody have any questions about that? Any of those, the ha-ha-so strategies, whatever. Okay. I'm going to go to our Okay, tonight we're going to be talking about communication, and we're going to cover two different important communication skills. It's chapter 4 in your parents' handbook, okay? We've covered 3 chapters. At the end of tonight's session, we're more than halfway through our course, okay? So we have 7 sessions. Tonight's 4 out of 7. And chapter 4 is where you can review everything we cover about these important communication skills. I want you to realize that all these things that we're covering actually work with other adults, with your significant other in life, with your children, with your parents, with your friends and neighbors, everybody. So these are important skills that are used beyond just parent-child relationships. They're actually taught in colleges, they're taught to counselors, they're taught to social workers, they're taught to business people to use these communication skills. Here's an application of one we're going to start with, okay? We're going to talk about what happens when your child makes a bad choice, right? And what we're learning in our course, parenting and teaching with the brain in mind, what's the best way to manage when our child makes a bad choice, okay? What can we do so that they come out the other side of it, maybe learning from the experience and making a better choice next time, okay? So let's just take a look. Here's an example of a situation. We've got two 8-year-olds, okay? Your child has a buddy who comes over, and there's a 5-year-old little brother in the family also, an 8 and a 5, right? The dad is there being in charge, and he's watching the basketball game in one room, and the boys are in another room, right? And they're working with Legos. And so the two 8-year-olds are building this big Lego project, and all of a sudden, the dad is hearing the voices get louder and louder and louder in the other room, but he wants to wait for the commercial, even though he knows something's not right in there. He doesn't want to miss the game. So he's listening to the game and thinking, I'll go in and check on them in a minute when the commercial comes on. But before you know it, there's bedlam in the other room. There's a fight going on, and it's a mess. The Legos are all over the floor, everywhere. And, you know, the beautiful project that the 8-year-olds were building is completely knocked over, okay? So the 5-year-old, knocked it over because they weren't including him. He was feeling left out. He was getting more and more angry. And so he handled it by knocking it all over. That's how he handled it. So the dad comes in, and the first thing when he hears what happened, he wants to shake his finger at the younger boy, the 5-year-old, and scold him and say, you shouldn't have done that. The boys had this important project for them, right, that they were doing. But the 5-year-old has that quivering chin, and he knows he's made a bad choice. And he's been dealing with being left out all this time before he actually acted this way, right? So what we're learning here, the dad is learning, because he's been in the Parenting with the Brain in Mind course with Mrs. Johnson, that connecting with the younger boy will increase his receptivity to learning from this bad choice and to making a better one. That the first thing he has to do is connect with the child who's all upset. The child, if you think about your fist brain, is like this, right? He's really starting to lose control. He's already lost control with the siblings and the friend, and he's all upset. And so the dad is going to have to redirect him and let him know that that was not the right thing to do. Okay. But he knows that he has to first connect with the child. Okay. And so the dad says, I know the boy is starting to cry. And the dad puts him on his lap and says, I know, buddy, I know. And he rubs his back a little bit, gets him calmed down first, right? Brings that cortex better online. And he knows the little boy needs him right then, to soothe his hurt feelings right then. And so he then, after the little boy is quiet and calmed down a little bit, he says, I spilt Legos. And the dad laughs and says, yeah, I see you did more than spill the Legos, And now the little boy cracks a smile. And now the dad can talk to him about empathy and the expression. Sorry, that's my timer. He's going to talk to him about how he should be thinking. How do you think your brother and his friend felt after they were working on this project all this time and you knocked it over the way you did? Try to put yourself in the other person's place. That's what empathy is, right? So now he's able to listen because he connected with the child first, got him soothed, calm down. Now he's going to talk to him. And it's now the teachable moment, right? So he moves him from this reactive state to a more receptive one where he can learn, okay? It enables him to know that dad can understand how he's feeling. He feels felt. And teachers can do this with students, okay? And that making them feel seen and understood makes a connection. So that's what we're learning about tonight, that you can move a child from being reactive to receptive and have it be actually a teachable moment by connecting with them first, okay? So this connect first tactic has the two goals we mentioned last time, that you want to gain the child's cooperation, right? You want to change their behavior, and you also want to build their brain, a new learning, so that they're building skill in their cortex and morality and good decision making and better choices on how to problem solve and think about how others feel. So dad is modeling a loving way, a calmer way to interact with somebody when you're upset. Now, remember, the dad comes in and he's upset and he's thinking, you know, you shouldn't have done this. But then he realizes that he can't redirect the child until he connects with him. So the message he's sending is, I'm here for you, even when you're falling apart or at your worst. I can take it. I've got your back no matter what. That's the message the parent is sending. Okay? So it's connect before you redirect. Does that mean you're not going to redirect them? It does not mean that. But you can't teach them to make better choices and what some better choices could be unless you are, got somebody else coming. Okay. Unless you have them be receptive, okay? So there's 3 benefits of connecting first. The child moves from being reactive to being receptive. So now they can hear you, right? They can listen to you. It actually integrates the upstairs brain to the downstairs brain. Actually, when you do this, connecting with your child over and over and over time, there's a connection of actual brain cells that start to grow between the cortex and the limbic system. So that means the upstairs brain is going to be available to them when there's a time that they're starting to get upset because of the neurons that are connecting the upstairs brain to the downstairs brain. So the third benefit is that when you connect with them, it calms them down so that they can listen, okay? So getting them soothed and moving them, remember, to the river of well-being, as opposed to either of the banks where they're in chaos or rigidity, okay? Remember the 3 parts of the brain, okay? So this is what's happening when you connect first, okay? Here you can actually see the upstairs brain. Here you see a drawing that's from the Whole Brain Child book of Dr. Siegel, the neuroscientist, okay? He actually says the brain is like a little house with all these rooms, right? And there's an upstairs and a downstairs. And here's the fist brain, okay? So you're actually building connections between these connective fibers between the cortex and the limbic system. So you're deepening the relationship you have with your children when you do this, or as a teacher, when you do it with a student, when you take them aside and say, you know what, you and I are going to have a meeting, and I'll see you for a few minutes before kids go to their next class, or before you go to lunch, or before you go to library or gym or whatever. And you just take them aside for a minute to talk, okay? By doing that, you get a chance to connect before you redirect, okay? So you're teaching how you're modeling how you're going to respond when you're not happy with their choices, okay? How do you want them to think of you? That you're going to do it with caring guidance, and you're going to guide them and let them know that they made a bad choice, but we're going to talk this over? Or are you going to answer them with irritation and criticism and shake your finger at them and tell them how bad and wrong they are? Or are you going to be reacting with fury and shaming, really telling them how bad they are? How you do it, which one you're modeling, is going to impact the development of your relationship, even their own sense of self, how they think of themselves, how worthy they think themselves, how worth it they feel, okay? So here you see these symbolic pictures of building that relatedness between teacher and student, parent and child, okay? Building that relationship over time and supporting the brain architecture development in the cortex, okay, in those important higher order thinking skills. It will impact the children's brains in ways that have long-term effects into their adulthood, okay? When we offer them comfort when they're upset, listen to their feelings, and let them know how much we care about them, even when they mess up, okay? It will impact the development of their brain and the kind of people they are in adolescence and adulthood, long term. So remember, we've said you can use power, you can use shaming, you can yell at kids, you can punish, you can do all of that, and you'll get it handled quickly. But the long-term effect will not be effective and strong at building a very strong higher order thinking skill brain in that cortex, okay? Here's an example of a teacher, okay? Dr. Angela Duckworth did some research, and she created, out of all this research, 4 different types of parents and teachers, okay? 4 different types. She says they can come out. Permissive parents and teachers you see, there's 2 qualities we're talking about. Standards, high and low standards. On the left of this line side is the standards you set for your students or children. And on the right side here are the high standards, okay? This vertical line is about warmth and caring and lovingness, okay? Going above this line is high warmth, and below this horizontal line is low warmth, okay? So the permissive parents and teachers are very warm and loving and so on, but they don't have any standards. They're over here on the low standard side. So they just say, oh yeah, do whatever you want. That's cool. So they don't correct their children when they make bad choices, or maybe they correct them when they're at home and they're bothering the parent, but they don't when they're outside the home at school. They're not holding standards about how they should be in class or like that. That's a permissive teacher or parent, right? Then there's down here in this corner, these are people, parents and teachers, who have low standards and low warmth. That's just neglect. they're not loving to their children, and they're not setting any standards for how they should behave. Okay? That's some people I hope you'll never find a teacher like that at Breakthrough, because we won't have somebody like that on this side. Then there's the authoritative parents. These authoritative parents are very high in expectations. This is what I want you to do first. This is what I want you to do second. This is what they know what they're supposed to do. Every minute of the day, they're telling them, you're not studying hard enough. You need to do this. You need to do that. But there's no warmth. So they're down here. They're very authoritative. And there are teachers like this. They're holding standards very high, but they're not warm to the students. They're not giving them positive acknowledgement, fist bumps and acknowledging when they do a good job or like that. Now, up in this corner is where we want to put ourselves. The wise parents and teachers. They're high in warmth and high in standards. They're holding their students to high standards of behavior and work in their different subjects, but they're also acknowledging them and using positive reinforcement and like that. Okay? So here's 4 different ways you can design yourself as parents and children, as teachers, excuse me. Okay? Questions? Anybody have any comments so far? Questions? Okay. What about tantrums? Okay. Tantrums occur in little ones, right? Under 5, preschoolers like that and younger. We know that if a child is having a tantrum, okay, it's because their upstairs brain is just not involved, right? It's becoming disintegrated. Their downstairs brain is taking over. Okay. So if we are screaming and yelling, when they're screaming and yelling and kicking, there's no way we're going to help them stop unless we just get them calmed down, right? Just being harsh and punishing isn't going to help someone at that age. Here you see a parent saying, I can see you're having a hard time stopping your body. I'll help you. So the parent is just holding the child and getting them to calm down. Okay? What about the parent who says, aren't you just spoiling a child when you do this? Okay? So we want to be clear about the difference and the distinction about spoiling a child and what's the difference with this connect first idea. Okay? We want our children to expect that their needs can be understood and met, but not their desires and whims. Like whatever comes into their, I want this. I'm in a store. I want this new toy. Otherwise, I'm going to have a tantrum. No, we're going to meet their needs emotionally, but not like buy them things and just give them, okay, we'll take you to Dunkin' Donuts and get you a donut or like that. All right. So responding to and soothing a child doesn't spoil them. Okay. But not responding to them or soothing them makes your child anxious. Look, this child is very anxious, right? This child is being independent and responsible. So think of the difference with spoiling, okay? All right. I'm coming back. We've lost Shanto, Erilee, Rachel. Can we see you in class? We don't know where you are.
Hi, Norma. As I said earlier, I'm still driving.
Okay.
Wednesdays are kind of busy for me, but I'm still
It's
listening. I'm following
it's
everything.
helpful even when you're like that, because we are seeing that you're with us. That's helpful. Any feedback so far on what we just said with regard to soothing first, okay? Connect with your child before you redirect. Questions, comments? O'Neill? Is that a hand?
No, no questions right now, but I'll be leaving in a few because I have an appointment I have to get to.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Anybody else? Questions so
So
far?
I'll just comment
Yeah.
on the connect for you redirect. I feel like that's a strategy I use, but I just wasn't aware that it was a strategy. So for instance, my daughter's a pretty good kid, especially at school. So the first day of school, she came home because I said, okay, how was school today? This was when they returned to school. And she said, well, school was good, but because I know her so well, I could sense that there was something else that she wasn't telling me. So when I probe a little bit, she said to me, well, my teacher had a call to me today because I was talking when I should have been listening. And I felt like with that, I'm like, well, your teacher's never called to you before. That's never happened. So why now, the first year, first grade, that's happening? But I had to also catch myself because here's my 6-year-old just outright telling me something without the teacher even contacting me. And I felt very proud of her. So I had to catch myself to say, thank you for telling me this without me having to hear from the teacher. And I understand that you were aware that that was wrong and that won't happen again, right? And she's like, no, mommy, that won't happen again. And it has never happened again. I spoke with a teacher and she too was pretty impressed that she did. So I feel like that was an example of connect before you redirect, because
Absolutely.
just the fact, yeah.
Beautiful story. Beautiful story. So you covered all the bases there. You had created an environment where your daughter wanted to get this off her chest. It was obviously bothering her. You could see that there was something there. So you're in touch with her nonverbal communication, her body language and tone of voice. So you knew there was something there. And you were actually providing for her this connection for her to unburden herself, right? And she got to tell her whole story. She got to, she actually did in the bad choices and mistakes chart. She took the up route. She didn't lie about it. She didn't blame somebody else, right? She took responsibility, said, this is what I did, and I'm really sorry that I did that, right? And I'm not going to do it again. And she let you know. So that was great. And then you shared it with the teacher. So all the bases were covered, right? Let me ask you, Chantal, was she present when you let the teacher know? Was she?
No, she wasn't present.
Okay.
So I had sent her a message, and then when I saw her face to face, we spoke about it.
Good.
But no, she wasn't there.
So another step just might be in the future where she actually takes, your little child goes to the teacher even with you or by herself and says, I made a bad choice yesterday. I'm really sorry. I'm going to do better today, and uses the apology steps that we talked about. So you're teaching that upstairs brain many skills in that whole interaction, right? Sharing with you and so on. And of course, she's going to feel safer with you than she is with the teacher. So when she's ready and you feel that she's ready, she can take that on. Plus, she'll be building up more and more of a relationship with the teacher where she feels over time safer to tell the teacher she's sorry. You know what I'm saying, Charto? Yeah?
Yes. Thank you for that.
Okay, good. So again, it's in sharing your stories that we all get to see how this works, okay? So I'm going to go back and do a skill that I want you to learn about tonight, called reflective listening, okay? No, that's the wrong one. Okay. Let's just take a look. There it is. Okay. So
Okay, I have to go now. I'm sorry. I have to go now.
okay.
I'll see you guys next week.
So O'Neill, I'm recording this. I could send you the recording of the end that you're missing if you'd like me to.
Sure, please. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
great. All right. Thank you. And
Thank you.
chapter 4
Bye-bye.
will cover this as well. Okay.
Okay then. Okay,
So
bye-bye.
reflective listening has got 3 parts. Okay. When the child is talking to you, the teacher, or maybe somebody else is sharing with them, or with their parent, the listener is going to start off with something respectful like, wow, it sounds like, or it seems like you might be feeling, and you're making a guess as to what feeling they are feeling. Okay, just by like you knew there was something there for your child, you could be saying to her, Shanto, sounds like you're saying you're feeling okay and everything was okay today, but I'm sensing you're feeling a little concerned about something, right? So you fill in here, right? You're saying, because you don't really know, but you start with, is it possible, or sounds like, or it seems like, something tentative, so that you're giving them a chance to say, no, it's not that, if they want to correct you, right? Because, and you give a reason. It seems like you're feeling concerned about something because I'm noticing that in your tone of voice, okay? So you're giving these 3 parts, and you are being a good listener. You're not just listening to the words, but you're trying to listen to a feeling. What feeling is going on in the child, right? And that's what a good reflective listener does. It's also called active listening. So the person who's the listener is really, really listening carefully for the feelings and then feeding that back to the person. You're in a sense being a mirror for the person, okay? And what all their words and behaviors are telling you, and then you reflect it back. And just doing that, you're giving them the gift of being understood. And sometimes they don't even know what they're feeling, right? But you're making this attempt to help them. Has it all come out? Something may just be bothering them and they don't even know what's bothering them. Sometimes you're feeling that way and you have a good friend who's a good listener for you. And they can do that for you. It may be your significant other in life. It may be a parent or a friend or whatever. But if we're lucky, we have people in our lives that will do this for us and that we can do for others. Okay. Now, here's a chart that you're going to get when you get your materials tomorrow morning when I send them to you. You're going to get this chart that you could also keep on your refrigerator. Okay, you may not have room for your food anymore because your whole refrigerator is going to be covered with posters. But you want your children to start to learn all these feeling names, this vocabulary of feeling words. It's a great thing for this to be a poster in the classroom to teach children what, when kids come to school, very often, all they know how to say is, I feel good, I feel bad, I feel happy, I feel sad, and I feel mad. But they don't have some of these finer distinctions, right? I'm feeling shy. I'm feeling embarrassed. I'm feeling proud. I'm feeling confused. Look at these beautiful vocabulary words that give them more access to that limbic system. And where do they get it? In their cortex, because that's where all their words, their language is up in the cortex. You want them to have a richer and richer vocabulary of words. So they're learning to understand themselves and all the emotions they can have and others. So you're growing that empathy and self-awareness. Okay. So this is a great chart to pull out. Like when Chantal was talking to her child, she might have said, do you see any words here that remind you of how you might be feeling? And that could even help her identify how she's feeling, right? So that's a great chart. Here, we're going to watch some examples of children talking.
So something really quick, Norma, it's so funny that you put that up because her sentence actually started when I said, is there something else that you're not telling me? Her sentence started with the word embarrassing. She said, well, mommy, today was a little embarrassing. So it's so funny that you put that up and reference that word.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So that means you've already put that kind of vocabulary in her lexicon of her mind, right? In her cortex. She's heard that in your family somehow, right? So she's got that as a distinction. So that's wonderful. Teachers can do that. Mr. Stewart can teach songs. There's so many songs that talk about feelings, right? And whenever I feel afraid, I hold my head erect and whistle a happy tune, et cetera, et cetera. So many things, right? When you're worried and you can't sleep, count your blessings instead of sheep. So at Breakthrough, we want to build that vocabulary, and what a wonderful way to do it through music. And of course, all of us can do that in our homes with music as well. So just remember that that's one of our goals, okay? So let's take a look at this video that I want you to see, where we're starting to see some children who are displaying different emotions. And the parent is going to use reflective listening, their step strategy, instead of just getting mad.
It's helpful to remember to use feeling words like bored, disappointed, or hurt, and like proud, satisfied, or pleased to describe the child's feelings as.
See, he's pointing out a richer vocabulary, to use all these different words instead of just good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling bad. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling mad. Look at the difference. What's the difference between mad and disappointed? It's a very important difference, isn't it? So give them a word for that. It's kind of like when you go to the paint store and you're going to paint your room. Boy, when you look now in a paint store, you've got so many different gradations of color. It's not just, I want a gallon of blue paint. Oh, there's 52 color shades of blue, right? It's that way with our emotions. We don't just have red, yellow, and blue. We have purple and orange and pink and green and blah, blah, blah. All right. So there's all that lexicon of words as well to describe our feelings. And that's empowering our children and growing the cortex for empathy and self-awareness. Okay. So grow those cortexes. All right. Let's continue.
Exactly as possible. Now let's practice listening for feelings. Here are some typical statements from children. As you listen, think how you would practice reflective listening. Remember to name the feeling and then state the reason for the feeling.
Where have you been? I've been waiting here forever.
All right. Let's have all of us think for a minute. Could you compose a reflective listening statement for that adult? He says, where have you been? I've been waiting for you forever. So now if you're going to do reflective listening, sounds like, could it be that? Am I hearing that tentative beginning? A feeling. What's the feeling word you're hearing in this child? Because. Feeling? Because. Anybody want to try? We're going to say to this boy.
Feeling scared. Sorry.
Okay, see if you can put 3 parts to your adult statement to the child. Okay, you're saying scared.
Yes.
Okay. So now could you begin with the tentative sounds like?
Sounds like you're feeling, you were anxious, scared.
Anxious.
Yeah.
There's another good one. That's a rich one. Sounds like you're feeling anxious. Now you got to add because. What do you think what are you relating might be his reason for feeling anxious?
Fearful of something happening, while I was driving back, Mom. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So there's your reflective listening. 3 parts, right? Sounds like you're feeling anxious or scared that something might have happened to your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's it. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Anybody want to say it another way? Same 3 parts, but choose a different feeling and maybe a different because. Anybody want to give a try? This is where your work gets done.
Here, I'll take a stab at it. So it sounds like you're feeling nervous because of your body language and your tone of voice as you're speaking to me.
Okay. All right. Good. Anybody else? Okay. Let's go back and see how this works out. All right. But I just want you to begin to practice because this is not what you've been doing all along. I want you to begin to practice how to make a reflective listening statement. You can use it at work. You can use it.
You're afraid that I wouldn't come back.
Okay. Sounds like you're afraid that I wouldn't come back. Good. Erilee, we want to keep seeing that beautiful face. You're going away again. All right. Let's go back.
You hate me. Everybody else's parents are letting them go to the party. But no, not me. I never get to do anything.
This is our drama queen. Oh, I got to go back. Forgot to say stop. All right. What can you say to Susanna? All right. You're going to practice your 3 parts reflective listening. We're just practicing now. Anybody?
Can we watch the clip one more time, please?
Okay. How about if I just tell you what she says? You never let me do anything. You won't let me go to the party. I can't do anything. Okay. Let's go back.
You hate me. Everybody else's parents are letting them go to the party. But no, not me. I never get to do anything.
Okay, notice the mom doesn't immediately get defensive and start doing this with the child, right? So what could she say? That would be our reflective listening statement.
It sounds like you're very frustrated about something. You want to talk some more about that?
Okay. So it sounds like you're very frustrated. I love you've got the tentative statement sounds like you're very frustrated. You've got your feeling word. Now, does she give you any clue as to the because? So can you add the because that she already said?
Because I don't let you go out often with your friends.
Yeah. Or she actually is talking about a party. You won't let me go to the party. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're feeling frustrated because I won't let you go to the party. And you can follow up like you just did. Do you want to talk about it some more, honey? Okay. Great. Nice work early. Anybody else want to try one? Got a different thing you want to say to the girl? Okay. She's really like this, isn't she? You get that? The girl is in this state. So if the mom comes back at her in the same way, it's just going to be a mess, isn't it? Right? So being the calm one, and it may be that you don't even have that discussion now. How about we'll go have a cup of tea or glass of milk or something, and then we'll talk about it. And take 5 minutes in between. You don't have to do it right at that moment either. If your judgment tells you that, right, that you can do that. So let's go and look at another situation. Tonight, at this point, we're just practicing how to give a reflective listening, compose a reflective listening statement, okay?
I don't care. I'm not going to practice anymore. The band's just dumb anyway.
Okay, so this little girl comes home to her mom. I don't care. I'm not going. That Mr. Stewart, man, he's the band's just dumb anyway, and I'm not going back anymore. That's it. All right. What are you as the mom hearing this going to say? Or maybe you're the homeroom teacher and the child comes back from Mr. Stewart's room and tells you this in the classroom. Anybody? What are you going to say? Let's compose, start practicing those 3 reflective listening parts. All right, I'm going to call on you then, if you're not going to volunteer.
Here, I'll take a stab at it. It sounds like you're feeling frustrated or annoyed in band practice because it seems like you don't want to go. Why is that?
Great. Perfect. Perfect. You've named a feeling. You've said it sounds like this to me. You're hazarding a guess because something happened in band practice, right? So let's talk about it. Tell me what happened, maybe, right? Great. Anybody else want to try another something you would say? All right, let's go.
Adults can use reflective listening in their communications with one another also. For instance, in this example, what could Maria say to her mother, Pilar?
Nobody cares what I think. In my day, people cared about their parents.
Okay. So this is a very helpful skill with other adults, friends, relatives. Nobody cares about what I think. In my day, people cared about what their parents thought. She's really digging it in there, isn't she? So instead of getting hooked and defensive because she's really attacking the daughter, right? What can she say that's reflective listening?
It sounds like you are disappointed with me because I haven't called you or haven't reached out to you often enough to talk or to catch up, and I'm sorry. Can we figure out a time to do it, and let's talk about it and about what you're feeling.
Okay. So I would say, let's talk about it. The thing I would be careful of, and this is a good one to share about this so that you get your antenna up about this, is that you don't start taking on blame. Okay? That she's made this interpretation up about you, right? Nobody cares what I think. That's probably not what you think. But he's feeling this way. Okay. So somebody needs to mute. Maybe you don't have your audio muted on and we're getting your side conversation. So I'm just going to ask you to mute if you're not, if you're having a side conversation. Anyway, so I would just say, be careful. Sounds like, did you say frustrated or disappointed? You said, sounds like you're feeling, so you've got those first two parts, disappointed because, and I'm just going to coach you to say, you think I'm not listening to you or calling you often enough or communicating with you, right? Or asking your opinion about things, right? So try to stay on what they're saying. But also, be careful, Joanna, because when you were speaking, you were saying, sounds like you're disappointed because I'm not calling you enough. So you took the rap. It's if you insert, sounds like you're disappointed because you think or you're feeling like I'm not calling you often enough, right? So don't take the rap because in your talking things out, maybe if you're sharing more about whatever's going on in your life, she'll understand that it has nothing to do with wanting to neglect her, but it has all to do with how full your plate is, with all the responsibilities you're doing. And you may come at the end of the conversation with a better schedule for communication and checking in or something like that. But, don't jump right on taking the rap that someone's putting out there where they're blaming you and shaking the finger at you. You're not doing enough. But just get that she thinks that. And at least you're giving her the gift of being understood, that you now see how she's feeling, right? Okay. Any questions or comments about that? Because we often may have people like this in our lives.
Well, it seems like at the end when the mom was talking about nobody cares about me now, like they used to care about parents, it seems like she has a specific idea of how to be cared about. Maybe just, maybe that's a point of growth, saying it seems like you are feeling unloved or uncared for or neglected because something isn't happening. How can you feel more cared about? What can I do to make you feel like I care about you? Because I do care about you, but maybe it's not in the same way that you want to be cared about.
Wonderful. And all of that can be part of the ensuing conversation that you're opening up with this reflective listening. So that's great, Michael. Yeah, that's really good. Perfect. So let's go on here. You're starting to get the idea of how this works, though.
Nobody cares what I think. In my day, people cared about their parents.
It sounds to me like you feel discouraged, Mama. Do you want to talk about it after supper?
this. And
Reflective listening is both important and challenging. We listen to other people's feelings and mirror them back to them. We have to focus on the other's feelings rather than on our own and invite cooperation. In the scenes that follow, we demonstrate the skills we have learned thus far in STEP.
Hello, Tony. Where have you been? I've been waiting here forever. You never said you were going to pick up groceries.
I always go shopping on Wednesdays.
It's not fair. You come home here after 6. I don't know where you are. You make me come home at a certain time whenever I go out. How come you never come home? And these brats drive me nuts.
Tony, it sounds like you're feeling upset that you have to be responsible and watch your sister and brother while I'm gone. Is that true? Well, thanks for taking care of them.
Instead of getting defensive or fighting back, Amy chooses to listen. Listening allows her to hear Tony's feelings. With reflective listening, she gives a name to his feeling and shows understanding of the reason for it. She reflects these back to him without judgment or blame. In our next example, Talisha has told her mother after school today that she is not invited to Rachel's birthday. She is very hurt.
Stupid Rachel.
Talisha, you must really feel hurt because Rachel didn't invite you to the party.
Sometimes children let a parent know they've been hurt just with body language, like Talisha. We've been talking about listening for feelings, but you can look for them as well.
Jamal, you see the scores of those games yesterday? Some good games. Nobody's beating the Bulls. You want the mustard? Jamal, is it possible that you are angry about not being able to go to Jamie's for the weekend?
Yeah, I'm mad, and I don't think it's fair. Because other kids get to go.
Now Jamal is at least talking to his dad instead of just giving him the silent treatment. When you tune into feelings and reflect them back to your child, along with the reasons for those feelings, you make it easier for the child to talk about the feelings. Sometimes it can even break through a stony silence.
Okay. Is that making sense? You've got some examples. Any comments or reflections on that first skill that we've covered?
I have a question.
Sure.
So what do you do if you use reflective listening, but the child just shuts down? Completely puts their head down, starts kicking things. Because I had that this week and I wasn't sure what to do.
Yeah. Well, you know, you have to determine when you're in a classroom and you've got 21 other children or 16 other children or whatever, you know, when and how you can give that kind of one-on-one. So it may be that you offer that, you know, by taking the child aside. The children are all working, they've got some kind of an assignment you can go over. And there's no response that is productive, moving the the needle here, right? You say, you know what? We can talk about this now, or we can talk about this when it's time to go to lunch. You decide. Because maybe,
give them teach.
You know, and then you can try again later, because it may be that it's just not enough time. You know, they're still like this and they're not ready. So, you know, we can, and if you give them two choices that way, and you're not being angry about it, but you're soothing your body language, you know, we can talk now or we can talk later, you know, and suggest a time. But, you know, but we are going to have to talk about this.
Right.
You know, so like, it's not a third choice of never covering this and coming back to this is not going to be one of the choices, right? When we get to, we're doing session 4 tonight. Next week, session 5 is going to be problem solving. We're going to talk about how you can have these one-on-one meetings, okay? And do problem solving and really try to, but it's building on this understanding how you can use reflective listening as part of the problem solving, you see? So that's why we're doing this session before we do the problem solving, because this is critical. Knowing that it's important to hear and listen for and hear and reflect back the feelings that you think are going on. And it may be that you're using the word upset and they say, no, I'm not upset, I'm mad. Say, oh, I got it, you're mad. And then you reflect that, if they correct you, Okay, great. So let's talk.
That makes sense. Thanks.
Yeah? Okay, good. Good. Any others? Great questions. Great. Okay. All right. So I'm going to quickly introduce the second part of this, which is an iMessage. All right. So let's go back and that's not what I want. Okay. So now the next skill, that what we just did was how you can observe the children and be a good listener. And that can be an entrance into, as I said, problem solving, working through this problem. Okay. The second part of the communication chapter that you'll read when you read chapter 4 is how to give an iMessage. Like, what happens when your rights are being violated? Somebody took something from your desk, or somebody did something that really was a violation of respecting your rights, okay? And this could be a peer, or it could be your child, or like your significant other, or your family, or whatever. But when you've got a problem and you're feeling like your rights have been violated, you can give an iMessage. And it's better than coming at somebody with what we would normally do is give a you message. Why, you rotten person, you did blah, blah, blah. Like, you took my whatever, right? This is a way to do, solve a problem that you're having, that you're feeling, you have feelings about that are not good. And you want to let them know. So you're going to say when, and you describe the circumstances, when you come up to my desk and take things off my desk that are just belong to me as a teacher or as the parent, when you go into mom's purse, that's my purse. I feel very disappointed and might be you feeling angry. I'm feeling upset because I feel like my personal space has been violated. Okay? As an example, right? Now, always you'll see here, I'm putting references to pages in the character guide. This is page 81 in the parent handbook. Well, you're actually going to hear this described, how to give an iMessage, but it's also on pages 11 and 12 in the character guide. Okay. So let's see. This out. Well, I'm not going to hold it up. I can't find the page right now, but it's page 11, 12 in the character guide. So, so you want to know that you have lots of places that you can look this up to remind yourself, and how to give an iMessage. Okay. I'm thinking that we're almost out of time, and it maybe is not a good point to start to look at the example. We can carry on with it and just finish up with that next week. But comments, questions, you're going to be practicing circumstances where, just as we've just practiced how to give a reflective listening statement, you're going to practice how to give an iMessage, okay? And it's a way to, I trained my own children to be able to do this. And as adults, we talk, they're all grown now, and we talk, and they teach it to my grandchildren, and we teach it at Breakthrough. So kids learn to give an iMessage instead of just giving a you message. And one of the ha-ha-so strategies, the second A, called assert yourself, you can assert yourself by giving an iMessage. When you go into my cubby and take things out of my cubby without asking, I'm angry because that's my stuff and I don't want you to do that, right? So like that. So you teach them how to speak to each other. And at Breakthrough, we have weekly character meetings. We have meetings in the morning. We have meetings each week. If you even see kids once or twice a week, like the music teacher, you may have to take 10 minutes out of a music class and just talk about, I know we all know how to give iMessages, and this is something that happened today. Let's talk about what you could have said to handle this instead of giving a you message like, you took my stuff, right? You're focusing on yourself, the person that has the problem that has in some way been violated, instead of placing blame on the other person and attacking them, which usually just winds up in a big, knocking heads, so to speak. Okay. Comments, anybody?
So I have a 9-year-old at home also, not just a teacher. And yesterday I was teaching her how to do that. She told me that on the bus back from the Final Mile field trip, that 2 of her friends were looking at her and whispering, and she didn't know what to do. So I coached her to say to them, when you're whispering to each other, I feel left out because I don't know what you're talking about. And I haven't checked in with her yet to see how it went because I haven't had a chance to talk to her this afternoon, but let's see how it goes.
Great example. Great example. Nice iMessage. Nice construction. So everybody can start to benefit by that. But start to open up your character guide and see what the different parts of brick are, okay? So there are wonderful quotations for each letter in brick, okay? And that can help for, also, it's a literacy lesson, and how to understand these great quotes that you can discuss, and you're building your child's cortex through all of these interactions, right? Your own child, your students in class, and so on, okay? Anything else? Any other comments? Okay, so you're going to read chapter 4 after this class, between now and next week. You're going to take a look at start to break this open and take a look at, the problem solving section is, well, maybe you want to skip the B, because next week we're going to be doing problem solving, changing breakdowns to breakthroughs, okay? But we were talking about the integrity portion tonight. You're going to find lots of what we talked about tonight in keeping your word and contributing to others, the C, being of service to somebody else, your own child and to others, okay? To your mother-in-law or your mother, okay? All right, everybody. You're a delight to meet with each week. Your participation is A+. Everybody gets an A+. I love being with you, and I'll see you next time. And I'll send you those things tomorrow with the posters. Okay, guys? Love you.
Okay.
Thank
Good night.
you.
Thank
Have a good
you.
night.
Have a good